Hello and welcome to Photo Time and Art Time with Anderson. I'm going to walk you guys through here a couple of edits. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Develop Settings. I'm going to do Reset here. So back to the beginning. So this is how this photo came into Lightroom. And what I'm going to do is I want to bring up the exposure here, and that's just found here in this little sidebar. The best thing about Lightroom is kind of this exposure, highlights, and shadows. So I love that the shadows, that's if we want to make the shadows darker, but I can bring up the shadows. And then I don't want to bring down the highlights actually, I want to leave the highlights in there. So I can kind of play around with these. If I felt like the white balance wasn't quite right, I could click on this little white balance slider and I could find an area on his jacket, let's say. And I'm actually looking for green and blue to be about equal, which it looks like there are. Any area that's sort of like a nice neutral gray or white, and then I can adjust that temperature. Let's say the image comes into yellow, I can adjust it down to more blue. If it comes into blue like that, I can adjust it up to yellow. A lot of times images will come in a little too yellow, especially if you've lit it in a studio. So from there, I want to increase the contrast a little bit. And here I can come into right here, this curve, this tone curve, and I can go to strong contrast and kind of see how I like it. I can also come back in and say, well, maybe I want the exposure up a little bit if I'm doing strong contrast, and kind of play with that a little. And I could try medium contrast, which I think I'm going to stick with medium contrast. I can also adjust these little points right here. Woo! And I'm actually going to adjust this point just up a little bit. Oh. Okay, I'm just going to hit undo on that, and if the curve looks a little bit like an S, it'll just adjust my contrast there. Here is the detail. I just want to move it over to his eye. I'm going to sharpen here. I'm going to add luminance here. That's going to soften things out a little bit. I over-exaggerated it so that you could see, but I actually want to keep some of that nice detail in his face. The luminance is going to show up here more kind of in the cheek, soften that out a little bit. Then I hold down the Option key and I do what's called mask between the two. And everything that's in white will stay nice and sharp, and everything that's in black will stay nice and soft. And we can see that a lot of the ocean in the background there is in that nice soft tone, and we want to keep it that way. It's very painterly looking. I can adjust color in here, but I don't think we're going to go over that today with this. Here is lens correction, and you can enable profile correction. And for some reason that brought the exposure up quite a bit, so I'm going to actually just come up here and bring the exposure down. And the last step that I want to take with this picture is I want to add some post-crop vignetting. So I'm going to add some vignetting in there. I feel like it gives the photo a little bit of emotion and drama. And I think if I hit F, it's loading, and there it is. And this is Hugo. This is right after he swam from Catalina to San Pedro. It took him 14 hours, and he did amazing and kept a great pace. That white stuff on him it's like a sunblock, a really strong sunblock / anti-chafe. And there he is. He's smiling because it's a goal of his, and he is my everyday hero. I got the chance to kayak for him.